When giving money to the amputated, you must put it directly into their pockets. This quote is from Greg Campbell's novel, Blood Diamonds, tracing the deadly path of the world's most precious stones. What Campbell means by this is that the path of diamonds is often unclear and corrupt. He is saying that you must directly trade diamonds through legitimate means, or there's a large chance that diamonds will end up funding a rebel force's criminal activity. Blood diamonds, or conflict diamonds, have been a problem in some African and South American countries. Blood diamonds are diamonds mined or smuggled to fund criminal activity of rebel forces or corrupt governments. Even though the diamonds that are mined in some African and South American countries are worth millions of dollars, they still negatively affect the countries where they are found both economically and socially.
Blood diamonds are a $1 billion a year industry that fund violence and corruption across the world, and they have been that way for over 50 years. The current blood diamond problem started in 1961 in Angola, when civil war broke out between the government and the rebel group UNITA. UNITA was able to buy munitions because they controlled 60 to 70% of Angola's diamond production. In the coming decades, many other African countries fell into civil war, including the Democratic Republic of the Congo, Sierra Leone, and Liberia. All of these civil wars were funded by illegally mined and smuggled diamonds.
Although diamonds may produce billions of dollars each year, they also cause economic and social problems in the countries in which they are produced. Diamonds used to be a symbol of purity until that view was tarnished when people found out that diamonds were being used to fund criminal activity. The problem is that the characteristics of diamonds are so appealing to many criminals because of their size and shape, which makes them easy to smuggle. Also, it is very difficult to tell who a diamond belonged to because they all look almost exactly the same. Many artisanal miners are looking for a large diamond to steal and sell to try and change their lives for the better. But the miners that do not either find or steal a large diamond remain in the mining business forever because they cannot get any higher paying jobs due to their poor qualifications. Because of this, these miners end up in poverty, or they join rebel forces and then steal diamonds to fund their criminal activity. Lastly, diamonds from West African countries such as Sierra Leone, Angola, and Cote d'Ivoire have also been funding guerrilla warfare since the early 1990s.
The daily lives of artisanal diamond miners consists of high risk to injury and death, exposure to life-threatening diseases, and extreme poverty. Diamond mining is usually done by people who are in poverty and usually done in poor rural areas with poorly educated people with no other possible employment opportunities. Alluvial diamonds are diamonds that have been removed from kimberlite by the process of erosion over millions of years. The most common type of alluvial diamond mining is artisan mining. Artisan miners are people who don't mine for a certain organization, but rather for themselves. Artisan mining is usually done illegally without the permission of the state. As of 2000, nearly 13 million people across the world are artisan miners, and about 80 to 100 million rely on the mining of precious gems like diamonds as their way of providing for themselves. It is estimated that at least 10% of the entire population of countries like Sierra Leone and Angola make their living from artisan mining. Artisan miners are exposed to extremely harsh working conditions and high risk of injury. Artisanal miners have a high risk of getting AIDS because of the open exposure to the epidemic. The miners themselves also receive only a small amount of the profits of the diamond exports they earn. Most artisan miners live in very unsteady conditions. They also have to borrow things like food, money, supplies, etc. from local willing people to help out in order to have the necessary things in order to survive. Many of these miners remain in debt for the entirety of their lives because of the overpriced equipment for mining and small salary of artisan miners receive.
Blood diamonds have led to shocking acts of violence and human rights atrocities in many African countries as well as in Venezuela. It is astonishing and depressing to hear about what has happened to innocent civilians in these countries. There has been widespread murder, beatings, kidnappings, and torture carried out by the police, security forces, and military forces across Africa. These forces have even raped women, beaten children, and amputated people's hands and other extremities. Child labor is a widespread epidemic throughout the artisanal diamond mines of Africa and Venezuela. In Zimbabwe, the government's military forces the local population, including children, to work in the mines. Prisoners and detainees are also beaten and tortured in many countries in Africa. The amount of violence caused by diamonds is absolutely staggering.
Despite its initial success, the Kimberley process, which is a process used to try and solve the issues with conflict diamonds, has not been able to adapt to changing problems and blood diamonds which continue to enter the global market. The Kimberley process was launched in January 2003 after 3 years of debate and negotiation between representatives of major diamond trading and producing countries, representatives of the diamond industry, and NGOs. As of 2010, 75 governments are participating in the Kimberley process. In order for the Kimberley process to work, participating governments must enact local legislation. The Kimberley process requires that governments certify the origin of rough diamonds and put it in place effectively to control and make sure conflict diamonds do not enter into the diamond market. Initially, the Kimberley process was a huge success, and it helped drastically reduce the number of blood diamonds entering the global market. Unfortunately, the Kimberley process has had some trouble in recent years because it has failed to adapt to changing problems. The Kimberley process defines conflict diamonds as diamonds that are used by rebel forces to fund civil wars. However, in Zimbabwe and Venezuela, the governments are the source of the blood diamonds and violence. Diamonds negatively affect many African and South American countries both economically and socially, even though they are worth millions of dollars. Although conflict diamonds are causing several different social and economic problems in many African and South American countries, there have been many attempts to solve these issues, such as the Kimberley process and all of the other possible solutions, such as requiring certification and regulation on exporting diamonds. The most promising solution being to fix the Kimberley process and get it working effectively again. Overall, blood diamonds are a serious economic and social issue that have been tearing several African and South American countries apart for many years.